Okay, so here we are at Dresden. It's still raining. Still in the morning, second day. Allies are still pushing forward. They've taken most of this part of the city. They only have across the Elbe that they really don't have any power over. Now, let's look at some of the attacks that are set up. And some of these they didn't have any option with. But they're making attacks over here where the French pushed a little too far. Because everything else collapsed. Same here. But over here, they're having to continue their attacks. Now here and here, maybe not too bad. This one looks like he's in a bit of trouble with the amount of attacks he's got to make. Well, we'll see. And the net effect included the destruction of some more French units. We're seeing them just being wiped out here. However, the old guard pushed everyone back. The French are going to have to do a lot of something to make up for this deficit, but I'll keep trying with them. I don't think it's possible. And indeed, they only managed one little attack and they were pushed back in all directions. On to the next turn, we roll again for Clenau. On a 1 he comes in. He does not. So we'll just keep pushing him forward. And we don't have any more units to add. The Austrians got a couple of additional units last turn. I'm not going to do that this turn. It's kind of tough. They got to get some artillery over here to help support this. The French have artillery here which helped support their attack. We'll see. The only attacks made were by the Russians. The big one against the Guard again failed. It was just a 1-to-1 attack. It wasn't too bad actually, and it would have popped the Guard. But that drove the Russians down to 0 morale. So they've got everything in play now. Not that it really matters. The battle's over at the end of this day. The Allies have 75 bonus points plus all that. They've won a decisive victory. And the bombardment finally worked here and broke that open, which isn't vital, I guess. Actually, it may have been it. May have saved these guys. They might have died otherwise. Pretty cool. So now there's almost nothing left for the French. And it's just this continuous seesaw over this piece. Everybody pushed in from the French and they got shoved back. They did manage to demoralize the Prussian army, though, as well. And that's it for this turn. So here we have the position that the Allies have put themselves into on, this is the 12th turn. And really, they've won the game. The only question for them is holding out. They don't have to do much, but they're going to keep attacking this old Guard unit. Getting that out of the way can only help them, and there's really nothing much they can lose there, so that is their one goal. And they're pulling these artillery over. See if they can get an attack on this, but I don't think they can. They only have 1 hex available to attack from, plus wherever the artillery can hit from. So, yeah, it's probably too big a unit. There's a lot there. There's 1122, which wouldn't be a big deal if the infantry weren't halved, but with the infantry halved, it's hard to push forward. Anyway, the Allies are pretty much sitting pretty, and the French can't do a lot to get out, so it should be pretty easy. And the old Guard was popped over here. Let's move on to the French actions. You know, I don't see an attack the French can make, not in good conscience. I mean, this is a hex I could attack. Let's see what we got there. We have 12 strength points. I think the best I can get on that is something like 11. So I'm on the 1 to 2, downgraded for demoralization. Great. And what happens if I succeed? I push them. I don't really gain anything. Their morale isn't going to go down. So maybe I get an access to be able to push some Austrians, etc. I'm just not going to be able to get to a situation, though, where I can ever get an attacker eliminated or ever get a unit cut off enough that I think much can be done with it. I'm really, alright, we'll do this one, but I'm really tempted to just concede here because, you know, the French don't really have a chance, the way I see it. So let's move some of these forward. They're so crowded in. Alright, so what did I say? 1 to 3. So I need a 1 for this to even be vaguely successful. Hey, it is. Excellent. Which means the Prussians fall back. But here's the thing, the French can't even advance. They can't even gain anything from it. And it's going to be like that for the rest of the day. They can't force an attack by the Allies. Either they retreat or the Allies retreat, but there's no pursuit. I'm going to call this. There's just no way. I mean, even if I push the Allies completely out of the city, it means nothing. There's that 75 points. And we've got that on top of all these victory points. This is just such a rout for the French that I'm just going to back off on this one. And let's see what we got here. I mean, so there's at least 50 points. This is a decisive victory. No need to go into the third day. Napoleon is soundly beaten here. And, you know, honestly, this is the most interesting game of Dresden I think I've seen. One of my feelings is that by doing it on camera and having to justify what I'm doing very explicitly to you guys, whether or not I'm attacking, whatever, it forced me to take the chances with the Allies that maybe I never took before. I think they still have a strong disadvantage in this scenario. I think it's going to be tough for them to overall do what they managed here. It took some very lucky die rolls, but the way I usually played, I would just look and say, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. And whatever I did attempt would be kind of on a lesser scale, maybe, and it would just end up failing. I'd lose some points, and it was very quickly becoming, you know, a French minor victory. The French would get a little bit of superiority somewhere or another. This time I was able to maybe get a couple lucky rolls and then take advantage of it by pushing hard, getting a couple more lucky rolls, and really opening the city up in a way that either it's very, very rare or I played very differently this time. I'm going to load this one up. I know it's tiny, but I want to do a review of the combined two games, and that really shouldn't be on the Dresden one specifically. So up this goes.